Okay, a recap of Florida and then move on to any questions you may have. After reviewing all the videotape, obviously we did not play our best football overall. Again, it's playing complementary football. We've not played our best football yet in terms of complementary football, offense, defense, special teams, playing off of each other. Thought we made some very uncharacteristic mistakes from a discipline standpoint with mental penalties. And you can't do that. Our margin of error with this football team is very small, so we can't recover when it's 1st and 15, 2nd and 15. We just can't do that. The formula for winning, the plan to win never changes. You got to score touchdowns in the red zone. First and foremost, we weren't able to do that. 0 turnovers. Again, had a catastrophic turnover that takes points off the board. On 1st and 10, we got to throw the ball away and live another down. I thought our defense created some turnovers. We had 12 tackles for loss, which was great to see. But we have to be a team that doesn't beat ourselves. And I thought at times we really made things very, very challenging. Mission remains the same. We talk about being relentless. We're not going away. It's just one game. And in this conference and in college football, every game, every week is a new season in and of itself. And so we have to keep pressing along. For us, how do we respond? What's our leadership like? First time this team has really suffered some adversity and some noise and some clutter. And how do we respond? And I know our football team pretty well, and I think they'll respond ready to go, are ready to come to meetings, are focused in, and ready to continue to learn. There's many things that we have to fix and improve on, and this week is going to be about ourselves and continuing to get better against a good Chattanooga football team that's ranked 14th in the country. But everyone wants the prize, but no one wants the process. And we're going through that process right now. And what's our appetite to win? You know, what's our hunger? And that was pretty much the message of Inky Johnson when he spoke to our football team, and it's very, very fitting. But we have to work to continue to, to correct our deficiencies. We have to have some individuals step up. Through 5 games now, I see some individuals progressively getting better, and I see some players digressing. And we have to all ask the question, why? We have to go back. We have to work on our fundamentals, our technique, our toughness, and just continue to focus on that process and work to be a better football team week in and week out. So I'll answer any questions you may have.
Butch, you've been pretty solid on this, keeping this offensive line the same. Might you revisit that this week?
With who? It is what it is. Those are the 5 that we have. Those are the 5 that we feel, gives us the best opportunity on Saturdays, and we're sticking with those 5. And, it's the onus on those other individuals at the offensive line to continue to work themselves to be in that conversation through their week of preparation throughout the course of the week. But we're down 2 full recruiting classes in the offensive line. That's just the realities of where we're at in our football program.
You guys were really high on Dylan Weisman last year. What has happened with him?
He continues to progress. He went into the Florida game, and he had a banged-up shoulder from practice, so he was really kind of unavailable. But again, I don't know if you guys really, truly, totally understand the offensive line position and defensive line positions, but particularly the offensive line positions are developmental positions. Name me another school in the country that's starting 2 true freshmen in the offensive line. They're developmental positions. For to really have successful programs, players start in your program 3 years into it at the offensive line. There's so much that goes into it. The volume of communication, the physicality, the technique, the mental toughness. You look at it, that's the most unglorified position in sport. They never get complimented. They don't score touchdowns. It's like a fist fight in a phone booth on every single snap. There's a mental toughness that goes into it. It's a gladiator sport inside. And so there's so many things that you have to possess to play on the offensive line. Then you have to be athletic enough now, particularly in this conference, to block 6'4", 6'5" defensive ends that run 4.5 40s. So those are developmental positions. And, are some players playing maybe before their time? Maybe, but I think they're doing a fairly decent job. We have to continue to get better. They're all that we have. And like I told you on Saturday, nothing's changed. I believe in them. You know, Don Mahoney does a great job. And how far they've come from week one to now, if you watch videotape, you'll see the development. But football still comes down to one-on-one matchups. There's only so much you can do. Everyone thinks a play call is a magical cure. Everybody runs the same plays. It comes down to execution. It's one-on-one matchups. There's only so many things we can do, run schemes and pass schemes. It still comes down to winning your one-on-one matchups. And that's the game of football, not just in the offensive front, but the defensive front and out on the perimeter and across the board. They're progressing. They're, again, every week is critical for them, adding the strength that's needed to play at this level, the overall mental stamina, but they continue to progress. We anticipate him being at practice today. So he had a little bit of a shoulder ding in the game, but he went back in, and he's received treatments, and we fully anticipate him being ready for Chattanooga, and he'll be participating in practice today. He's cleared for practice, so he'll be fine. It's just the, kind of the wear and tear that goes on with shoulders of a running back that plays physical. No more, no less.
How critical is it to get some help from those other running backs?
Critical. In this conference, you can't have one running back. You need to have four. You need to have three. You need to have four. And Darrell Scott is an individual that continues to develop, and you'll probably see more of him in practice and in the game on Saturday as well.
Following up, you said basically two recruiting classes behind. How much pressure does that place on you and your staff to not have any misses when you're out here evaluating players and trying to compile your signing classes?
Well, we have to do our due diligence, to say the least. And, we have a recruiting profile, and, for the most part, we've done a great job, and there's a whole process led by Bob Weldon and the coaches, and Zach Azani is our recruiting coordinator. But when you're trying to build the depth and the competitive structure of your football program, every individual develops differently. You look at the NFL, they spend millions and millions and millions of dollars in the scouting process, and they don't get it right. And that's human nature. That's human behavior. It's players develop differently, but we have to be right. We can't afford to not have individuals that come in that can help us immediately, that we think can develop into being all SEC performers over time as well. And that's just where we're at. But they've done a great job. This recruiting class has done a good job, and our players in our program are working exceptionally hard. They understand that the volume of repetitions, the work ethic in the weight room. I thought really for the first time all year our immaturity really showed, particularly on offense, in terms of just our overall strength, our overall lack of development. That's the other thing that concerns you when you do play an inordinate amount of freshmen, is their overall growth and development in the weight room. And, like our individuals who are redshirting right now, they're going through a 4-day lift segment. They're in an off-season training period. Well, a lot of times development, what we found over a course of time, is a freshman may be underdeveloped because of that. So they've done a great job in terms of trying to balance practice and also getting and improving their strength levels week in and week out.
Is that a difficult balance for you and your staff when you have to look at prospects and say, who can help us now versus who might be a better prospect down the road?
Well, it is, but we don't deviate. We want to take the best prospect. We're going to take the best player that we feel we can win an SEC championship and a national championship with. And if that means that player may be a little bit behind right now, but his upside is greater, we're going to take him. We're always going to err on growth and development.
But after watching the tape, the wide receivers didn't seem to be press coverage or get as open as you'd like. Did that show up when you were reviewing them?
Yes. We have to, in our offense, we have to be able to win one-on-one matchups on the perimeter. And, a lot of times, they were in man coverage a lot, 3rd and long, 2-man. That started in the Georgia game. And, if something works, you're going to continue to see it. And it's man under 2 deep. In the red zone, they were particularly almost all man-to-man coverage. That's why you saw the high volume of play calls down there. They outnumber the box. And, again, it just like we talked about the offensive line, it's the same thing at the wide receiver position, the tight end position. the corner position, the safety position. You have to win your one-on-one matchups, and unfortunately, we weren't able to do that as effectively as we've been able to do in the past.
How much of those lines with the last 3 games, you had so many touchdowns in the red zone, you had turnovers, I think, too. Is that just?
I'm trying to have a good day, Brent.
Is that just a simple matter of the receivers just not winning? Is that the bottom line then?
It's not just the receivers, it's a combination of everyone. And again, it takes all 11 players working together as one. And sometimes we'll have the play blocked for 9 individuals, and the 10th individual doesn't do their job. And that's football. That's communication. That's teamwork. That's why it's the greatest team sport in America. If I put all 11 of you across the line right here and whispered in your ear a message, and you had to pass it all the way down, with that same message from number 1 to number 11 be the exact same message. That's communication, and that's working together as one. And that comes over time. It takes great pride in executing your assignment. Like I said before, every play has its own individual and specific job description for every single player. And so, with that is it just comes to working together as one. And, there's a number of times if you play shoulda, coulda, and you're watching some of the calls in the red zone, you pause the button at the point of attack and you say touchdown, and it's somebody coming off a block. It's a great effort by, the player on the opposite team, so there's a combination of a lot of that.
How much is the struggles up front, how much of that is the magnified in the red zone?
Well, it is magnified in the red zone because your throwing lanes shrink, your timing shrinks, your landmarks shrink, so the timing mechanism is all sped up the closer you get to the goal line. And you cannot have tackles for loss in the red zone. And we've been able to do that. We went backwards. You can't turn the football over. Aaron Medley's doing a great job. He's kicking the ball well for us. And so, again, we have 3 points in our back pocket, but obviously we need to come away with 7. But you can't have tackles for loss. You can't have untimely penalties. And those are all things that are critical to winning in the red zone.
You only had 1 turnover your first 2 games. You've had a few last, and they've come at really horrible times for it. Is it just the level of competition getting better? What's caused the difference in not being able to take care of the ball?
Well, I think it's a combination. It's an overall decision-making process. We have first and 10 in the red zone, all right? And, we got to throw the ball away. That's part of managing the football game and understanding, hey, it's first down, throw the ball away. That's football. Let's go play 2nd and 10. It's some of those decisions. It's individuals, making the right technique on a route technique. It's, again, one-on-one matchup. So I think there's a combination. All the little small details add up to the big details. It's like, the end of the game. If our receiver stems the route, pushes vertical, sticks it, the middle of the field's wide open. Changes everyone's perception. And those are the small details. It's inches. It's fine details. And again, it gets back to that job description. And that's every individual being accountable. And it starts with me. It starts with our coaches. And, put it all on me. I'm the head football coach. But again, it's the fundamentals, it's the execution, it's the fine details. And, I'm a realist. I don't make excuses. I try to find out why things are happening. How can we do better? Is there somebody else we could be playing? Who gives us the best opportunity to win? That's all the things that I look at. And, these coaches are working exceptionally hard. These players are working exceptionally hard. But when, you have some individuals playing for the first time, the first thing that concerns you as a football coach is inconsistencies. That consistency in performance, which we talk about, and that's not a crutch. That's not an excuse. We demand consistency on every single play, and that's going to be some of our focus, as it is every week. It's just the overall consistency in approach, consistency in performance. You hear me talk about that every single week because the great teams have that.
What's given your personnel right now? Are you going to be forced to run fewer zone read plays?
How many zone read plays did we run on Saturday? We're running gap schemes, and I think, again, the most common used term in Knoxville is a zone read, but we just think we see the quarterback in the gun and he sticks the ball out, and that's a zone read. We ran more gap schemes than we did zone read schemes this past week of trying to give, a double team at the point of attack, trying to get our tight ends involved in the run game. So schematically, we're doing the right things. We need to continue to progress. We need to improve our tempo, but we're not just a zone read football team. I think that's a myth, and it just comes of people not really understanding run schemes and blocking schemes if you really watch it. And, I'm going to talk to Jimmy. Maybe next year, part of this press conference is 10 minutes with the coach. And I'll come in and I'll put the video on. I'm serious. And we'll go through the videotape. And I'll show you so you can really see. Because we do have a lot of good things going on. And we need to continue to progress. But I think that would maybe this spring. I'm serious. We hold a couple hour deal. And I'd be more than happy to go through everything with you.
Well, Butch, you always talk about not wanting your teams to be very emotional. That was an extremely emotionally charged game, and then after post-game, we saw a lot of emotions from the guys. Just where are they at right now?
Right.
And how do you bounce back from something like that?
Well, again, when you invest as much as these young men have invested in victory and invested in this football program, when you lose, it should hurt. You play the game to win the football game, and you expect to win. And it's everything I've spoke about is, this football team isn't hoping to win. They believe they're going to win every time they step out onto the football field. And so it should hurt. And I think that's been the progression of our football program, is you want to see that hurt. You want to see that. Now, it's how do we respond. Today is critical. We have a 24-hour rule, okay? And I was about on the 6-hour rule. I was emotional. I was emotionally spent. I felt like everyone else in Vol Nation Saturday night. The difference was I only had a couple hours, and then I had to go recruit all night to make us a better football program along with our coaches. But then I go back and, try to be a realist, try to set the vision, look where we're at, and our players will respond, and we'll have a great team meeting. We'll review the video today. We'll go out and we'll have a short practice, a short lift, and we'll getting them going, and that's part of the grind. Now hopefully you see kind of the vision when I met with you guys in August of the power of one opponent at a time, one day at a time. We're just going to follow that same formula. Today is Monday. We got to win Monday. Next opponent, Chattanooga. We got to go. We can't worry about that. That's in the rearview mirror, and we have to learn from our mistakes and continue to progress. That's all you can be, and it's all you can do.
How do you think Emmanuel Mosley came in?
Thought he did some good things. He's an individual who, was thrown into the fire right away and standing on the sideline. Then he has to go in and replace Mike Williams, who should be fine for this week, and in a very tight and stressful situation in that point of the game. And we thought he handled it exceptionally well. Couple things on the third down conversion on the field goal drive. We're in a coverage where, he's supposed to come off on the flats. We give it up and get a first down. But for an individual really being thrown in a live game repetitions at that stage of the game, I thought Emmanuel did a great job. We'll continue to progress and give him reps.
With the offensive line in that learning curve you referenced, how much progress should we be seeing week to week? And is it more than what we've seen?
Well, it's different week to week because, each team is different. Each opponent you face is different schematically. They're different in terms of ability. They're different in terms of size and stature. So every week is different in and of itself. But I just want to see a consistency and approach in terms of fundamentals, hat placement, hand placement, finishing plays, not having mental errors, all those little things, and just continuing to work. But each week is different just because no two teams are ever the same.
Butch, how do you do that when you talk about turn around and recruit after a devastating loss? Do the recruits want to talk about the game, or is that off limits?
It's recruiting. They can talk about anything, and that's part of it. And it's a challenge. And the great thing is our prospective student athletes understood. They saw a great game. The parents knew it was an emotional game, but they came away, and it's a tribute to Vol Nation. They were blown out of the water. They were so impressed with our fan base, with our fan support, our student body, and the vision of the program and where we're headed. And for them, for a lot of these individuals, it was a defining moment for them. But, I feel for the assistant coaches. After the game, they have to shower, put their coat and ties on, and go recruit immediately. And the other thing is our recruiting department, their day on Saturday started at 6 a.m. with getting the recruits up for breakfast and all that, and it ended at about midnight when the final parents left my house. And so there's so many things that go on behind the scenes, and you have the emotion of the day. But our coaches, as soon as the conclusion of the game, they had about 20 minutes to kind of reflect. We meet as a staff right after the game, and then they had to put their coat and ties on and go recruit all night and go out to dinner and then, come to my house. And, a lot of them wanted to talk about the game. A lot of them wanted to talk about the vision of the program. A lot of them want to just talk about life and our families. So every individual's different.
If you practice that, you've done it a lot, so even after a hard loss, can you snap your fingers and then turn into Mr.
Snap and clear. It's a challenge, but this entire staff is so passionate about developing this football program, and we know that it's critical to get where we want to get to and have that relentless approach to get this football program back. So it's a challenge, but also it comes part of the territory, and we have to do it. And, I enjoy, getting to know the parents, getting to know the young man on a one-on-one basis. And then, Saturday's not over with. They leave, but then Sunday's another full day of recruiting. So again, it's a whole weekend. It's difficult, but also sometimes it can be therapeutic as well, because you're also talking to what may be some of the future players of your program. And then, along with that is your current team that has to host the players, and they're over to my house as well. So again, it's very tedious.
Coach, can you comment on Derek Barnett's play and how he
Yeah.
continues to progress?
Again, been very, very pleased with him. A young man who has shown great maturity beyond his years, from his competitive makeup, does everything you ask of him, has that inner drive. He's the first one after games into my office after a game to come hug me and say, we just got to keep believing, Coach. We just got to keep working. He's showing leadership skills, and he's earned the respect of his peers. And just been really, really pleased with his overall development.
What are your thoughts on Davis Tall?
Very, very disruptive. I believe he's a two-time conference player of the year from Bearden High School. Very, very good football player. And I know a lot of the people at Central Michigan after their game called me and said, this young man's a very, very talented football player. When you watch him on film, he plays with effort. He plays with toughness. He has that mentality to be disruptive and rush the passer as well. So been very, very impressed with him. Good football player.
You talked about the offensive line. Would you think about possibly developing a fullback to help this offensive line moving forward before the season's over?
Yeah, who's the fullback?
Brandon Down, maybe.
Well, if you watch the game, what we're doing with the offset tight end is really kind of the equivalent of a fullback. It's called an H-back. So some of the gap schemes that we did last week, and we did in the Georgia game too, were them kind of having a fullback, and in the flat, we did some different things in pass protection this week of slamming the defensive end before we release. So really, we're doing that right now. Yeah, they'll be fine. I thought Jordan Williams played his best football game to date. Very, very active, showed great grittiness. He was tough. Kept going down, kept twisting his ankle, and kept coming back. And was really, really proud of him. But yeah, both of those will be practicing today, both individuals.
What about
Mike Williams, we anticipate back as well. Some of that was precautionary.
Was it distressing at all down the stretch, when the game's winding down? A lot of recruits, a lot of national TV audience to hear the fans maybe chant something a little bit unflattering. Does that unsettle you at all, or is that just part of the emotion of a game like that?
It is, because everything is first impressions, and we have great people here, and our student body's outstanding. I love them to death. They've meant so much to us from a recruiting standpoint, from an atmosphere standpoint. I think it's just the emotion of the game and the want to win. You know, that appetite for winning, which I spoke about earlier, and that's the passion that our fan base has, and that's what makes them very, very special. But it's something that, you know, when I get a chance, I'll speak to them about, and, you know, I love them to death because they've been there for us, and we're going to need them as the season continues to progress.
How encouraged you to continue to be with this defense and the way they keep
Yeah.
games?
They're overachieving right now. They're playing at a very high level. They have great confidence. They're playing with great effort. They're swarming to the football. I think we're benefiting from some individuals really elevating their play. Jalen Reeves-Maben is one of those individuals who just continues to get better and better week in and week out. He's very active to the football. I think Ladero McNeil has continued to show great progress. And then I think the additions, Todd Kelly Jr., again, has a big interception for us on Saturday. So I think, you know, adding him back there, Cam Sutton is playing with great consistency week in and week out. We've been able to get valuable reps from Mike Williams. So, and I talked about Jordan Williams playing his best game, the addition of Derek Barnett. So, you know, and then you have the, you know, same old consistency of A.J. Johnson. So I think week in and week out, they're gaining more and more confidence in that standard, the expectation. You know, there are comments at halftime, if they don't score, we win the football game. I haven't heard that since I've been here. You know, and that's that confidence. You know, you try to look when you have some minor setbacks, which was a minor setback, you try to find also great things that are occurring. And it's also the development of a mindset and a standard and an expectation by which we're going to play defense here. And I'm starting to see that now manufacture itself. It's starting to be an everyday occurrence.
But you mentioned McNeil. Has his play been a pleasant surprise for you?
It has. He's playing very fast, and he's playing very instinctively. He's playing very aggressively, but not recklessly. He's trusting his eyes. He's trusting his keys. He's playing more downhill, and been, again, very, very pleased with him.
This division seems so wide open
Yeah.
in the East. I mean, is that something y'all can use for the go-to start in the conference? That's something you can use moving forward, the fact that pretty much nobody's out just
Think you know what's coming. And I mean it. It's how we respond. All our focus and energy is on Chattanooga. That's it. We have to be a better football team. We must get better this week, and we must play winning football on Saturday. That's our entire focus. It's on Chattanooga. It's every player responsible for their own self-determination to improve their game. It's every coach. It's me. It's everyone in our football organization. It's Jimmy Stanton. It's everybody. And I mean that. It's everyone taking great responsibility for their own self-determination in everything that we do, and that's the case every week. But that's the way our program is now set up.
Last week you said A.J. Johnson was maybe trying to do too much. What did you think about him?
Played within the system this week, and I think it was a great learning experience from him in the Georgia game, and he played within the system. We played very good team defense. We were very gap conscientious. You know, they came in and presented some different issues with some quarterback runs, which we'll see against Chattanooga. But I thought we had to do some different things on the sideline, and I thought our players really were able to adapt and adjust to in-game changes, in-game manner tweaks schematically, and they handled that exceptionally well.
Do you think the defense is starting to think that they have to score?
No. Our defense, again, it just comes down to complementary football. You know, also it's field position. Scoring points is relative to your field position too. And in the first half, we were behind the field position game all half. And so it's our kickoff return, it's our punt return, it's our punt game. That's what I mean by complementary football. And each side of the ball, each special team's helping out that unit. That's great teams play complementary football. It is a field position game. That's why, you know, it's disturbing when we don't score 7 points in the red zone. But we'll continue to stress that and practice that. But it's, again, it's complementary football.
With the structure of the Jalen Hurd Wildcat package, you had those two counts. What was going on with that?
Just overall communication. We executed it all week in practice. We executed it in the Georgia game, and it was just, the verbalization of the cadence.
With the struggle of the offensive line moving forward, can we see Worley maybe rolled out a little bit more often?
Yeah, and we did that, some last week, and we'll continue to do everything we can to play to the strengths of our players and give our players an opportunity. And like I said, I'm proud of this football team. They keep working, and they understand the standard, the expectations. They understand it, and there's no turning back. We're going to continue our relentless approach and our mission to everything that we're doing here.
So anybody on the sideline noticed that this play clock looked like it was on zero on that Florida field goal, and is that part of the dialogue with the league that you talked about last year?
Yes,
Did you get an explanation or anything back from the league on that?
not yet, but we've had dialogue. Yes.
Very much, guys.
Thank you.